Hey friends, welcome to Battletech Blades of Honor, Season 1, Episode 0. This is a companion show to Battletech Oath of Endosteel. Blades of Honor focuses on 3 samurai, nobles from the planet of Valentina, a rich border world that holds a horde of treasure and secrets just waiting for the taking. Honor and honors are plentiful, but dreams scatter like blossoms on the wind when the reality hits. We are not sure what we'll get through today. This will be a multi-part character creation, campaign creation setup. In the description section of this YouTube video, you will get the resources that we are working with, which includes the Stars Without Numbers first edition rules alterations I've made. So I know this is Battletech, but the Battletech RPG systems are clunky, so we're just using Stars Without Numbers first edition. There is a wiki, there's a house creation document. We've included the Tabletop Simulator Alpha Strike additive load that we use. I sound robot-y?
You do.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not just me.
Great. How about the 3 of you talk among yourselves for a moment while I try to fix that? Because there's nothing like a fucking technical error on the first goddamn episode. Every single time.
Good omens.
It sounds a little bit like you sounded on the Tabadachi show, where you have like lots of kind of pixely like popping, kind of like at the beginning and ending of all your words.
Too many filters.
Is that maybe? Yeah.
He's trying to artificially inject too much joy into his
James, what are these boxes on your bookshelf behind you here? Where you keep all your cables
down there.
Yeah.
There. So I mean, I don't know how much you know, but I am in a temporary house while my own house is being renovated. And so that's stuff that would go on the bookshelves that I can't be fucked unpacking. So I have to repack it again in 6 months' time and take it back to the other house. It's just and the boxes themselves are boxes of saline solution from a hospital that my wife brought home. So they're good for books because they're thick enough to carry liquid.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Am I sounding any better?
Yes.
Talk some more.
All right, I will talk some more.
It's still present, but it is much improved.
I have no solution for that at this time. We will instead continue with what we're doing. So,
getting the vague sense of ennui as well from your voice.
So the folks at home don't know that I've been on the road for 9 hours. A 3-hour road trip took 9 hours. Thank you, New Jersey. I guess you all have some general idea of what you want to do with your characters. You've also rioted and thrown away my mech rules and instead chosen your own mechs. In one case, choosing a mech that is uniquely exclusive to the Federated Suns, which as a Draconis Combine member must be a very interesting choice that you will never ever come up in character as to why you are using a mech uniquely created in the Federated Suns, Red. But it is a good mech. Yeah, the rattlesnake.
I thought that. Oh, okay, all right. I guess
I'm super interested to hear the story of how you acquired this thing and how you keep it supplied with parts. I can't wait.
Okay. Listen.
I know you don't have one because you didn't even realize that it's only produced in the Federated Suns until the iconic. Yes, you picked the Super Jenner. Yeah,
and it was a Jenner, and I was like, oh, Jenners are kind of cool. They've got like kind of a cult following. I've never done a Jenner. I think I really wanted to play to Alpha Strike's strength of being fast.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, let me do a Jenner. Let me look on master unit list at all the Jenners and find a cool one. And of course, I picked the coolest one there was that was available. That was the rattlesnake. I didn't know that it was the only non-Draconis Combine Jenner.
I would love to hear the story of how you captured this from a Davian scum.
It definitely has to be like, a trophy acquired from like a generational like blood feud between like.
Great, setting up blood feud.
My clan and like some. What'd you say it was Davian?
Davian.
And some Davian house.
Was it your character or James's character that had ties to the Yakuza?
Rad was going that way.
Rad's been wiffle waffling.
I'm doing that. I just don't know what it's gonna be yet.
Okay.
I don't know if so. Like what I pitched to Arthur was The Departed, and I didn't know if I was gonna be Leonardo DiCaprio or he's a fantastic actor. I just mispronounced his name.
Or Matt Damon.
Or Marky Mark. Or no, yeah, Matt.
Marky
No,
Mark.
yeah, Marky. No,
Yeah,
Matt Damon.
yeah.
It's Matt
Which one is
Damon.
one?
Marky Mark is his
Marky Mark
cop
plays the
buddy.
detective.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to be a Yakuza undercover as a samurai or a samurai undercover as a Yakuza. Or I don't know. Maybe I just won't tell anybody and it'll be a question.
You have to tell me though.
I'll tell you.
I have to know. All right.
Whatever I tell you will be a lie.
At least do 2 truths and 1 lie. Art's going to figure it out. That way,
Yes, that's right. 2 truths and 1 lie.
So the question is, are you all more interested in making your characters or are you more interested in making your houses? And we'll go with that. So with your houses will come choices about mechs, family members, your house sword.
So I guess that was a question too, is we will all have our own houses. We won't all be in the service of a single house.
You will be in the service of a baron, a baronial house.
A more superior house that's a daimyo.
It will be your Shugo, which is the... let me start with a few ground rules that we'll have going into this game, by the way. I will not be doing ridiculous over-the-top Japanese accents. My aim is to present Draconis Combine culture as respectfully as possible. That said, what Draconis Combine culture is really up for a lot of interpretation. It draws from Africa. They have a whole subsection called Swedenese, which is Swedish, Japanese blended together that has become its own language. Korean. Obviously, Japan is a big one there. We need to have the knowledge that this is not historical Japan, but a fusion of cyber future ideals. We need to have a recognition that Battletech is based on 80s action movies of robots punching each other. So, you know, if I use Japanese terms, it will often be for emphasis. Like, if y'all fuck up real bad, I won't say, this is Baron Nosaki. I'll be like, this is Shugo Nosaki, and he doesn't look happy with y'all motherfuckers when you walk in his office. There is no religion in the Draconis Combine, and also there's lots of religion. The coordinator is the dragon, and the dragon is the nation, and plenty of religions secretly practice as long as they keep it cool with the internal security forces. By not being heretics, and you know, they have like Jewish minyans, which are secret meetings of, I believe, 10 or more Jewish men. They've got the Azami warriors, who just straight up say that they are not Muslim when they are Muslim. Shinto, Buddhism, super prominent in the government, despite the fact that they are technically spiritual religions. So the final thing to recognize is that by being a member of the military, you are automatically a member of the highest caste of society, and that those who work with trash or dead bodies are automatically the lowest caste of society. Ironically, this means that if you are a mortician, the unenviable position of being the lowest caste of society, despite being a highly trained and competent medical doctor and investigator, means that you have fallen to the lowest ranks possible. So mortician,
You're sort of like a non-person, aren't you? That's the way it's sort of treated.
Yes, yeah.
Less to be that you're scum, more that you're not even treated like you're
correct. You're not even human, essentially.
Yeah.
So like a highly intelligent, educated doctor that is a mortician, could it be assumed that
They fucked up real bad.
Pariah? They fucked
Yes.
up at some
Yes.
point, right?
It is a punishment
Nobody-
in the Draconis Combine.
Nobody went to school to become a mortician, right? That would
Correct.
be unthinkable. Okay.
So, with that on the line, I think I have shared with you guys several documents. I'm going to reshare them now in the chat.
I have 4 open right now. So
It's worth pointing out that this show is intended to be a cousin, or right, to have connectivity.
Oath of Endosteel.
to Oath of Endosteel.
Some of the first words out of my mouth when we started tonight.
I might have missed that.
I prefer redheaded stepchild.
Oh my god, you really just... All right, I apologize to all of the stepchildren who have red hair in our audience
I
right
come
now.
from a family of redheads.
Yeah,
I'm one of the few that does not have red
I was
hair.
gonna say, I don't believe you.
I was once a redhead.
It's true.
And I'm a stepchild, so...
Wow. I don't know what to do with that. Okay, so based on what we're looking at here, we've got the character creation rules, we've got a tentatively working wiki, and we've got the house creation rules, which are based off of A Song of Ice and Fire's house rules, and the economic circumstances rules, which I have lifted from Pendragon. This is a real slapdash, but you know what? It works, and it's based on my most popular show, Oath of Endosteel. So we're going to go with it. I think I've removed most of the references to Davian words, including, for some reason, the word First Prince appeared in the player resources. So we got rid of that now. But what excites you guys? Talking about characters or talking about your houses? Because they will both be important, and technically you'll be playing both of those.
I can only speak for myself, but I would say that I still have a lot of ambiguity in the character I'm going to play. So I'm not leading heavily either way. I know some very general themes that I want to do, but not enough so much that I'm like, I need to make my character first so that I can build the house around it, or vice versa. So I'm open to either.
I think traditionally I prefer to build houses first, because something about the house will inform your character. I've got a pretty strong idea in my head now what I want to do character wise. It actually informs the house somewhat, but I think that overall, like, I could do either, but the house probably first is probably the better one. Although I do want to make sure that I end up with a house that's in decline. So I don't know, AP, if I roll too well, if you're willing to let me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to intentionally destroy your own house, I'm not going to stop you.
I think I know broad brushstrokes what I want to do, but finer details, I'm kind of like leaning either way. I think if James says he wants to start with houses, we can go ahead and roll that way.
Okay. Let's.
We'll see you next week for the for episode.
No, don't troll like that. I'm getting the sword list. All right, so we're gonna start out. You're gonna roll a d6, and this is when your house was first founded. On a 1, you're all the way back to the Alliance of Galadon at the beginning of Draconis Combine Society. On a 6, you're first generation.
6.
Well,
5.
Okay, so 5 is Third Secession War, and this is on the document for Beta 0.1 Blades of Honor player resources.
5.
5 is also Third Secession War.
Okay, where are we recording all this?
You're probably going to go to the bottom
tab that says Rad Clan.
Yes, the bottom of that. You should have your 3 clans.
Okay, and what did we just determine?
You were knighted during the Third Secession War, so your family is somewhat recent, in the last 50 to 100 years. So both of you that rolled Third Secession War will roll 1d6 minus 2 to see how many events you have, and James, you just get the event infrastructure.
Yeah, 1 infrastructure event.
Yep. So
James has got a baby house?
Yes, he's got a baby house.
So I rolled a 4, so I'm at a 2.
Yes, correct. So now you will roll 3d6 and check against the chart.
3d6.
I'm trying to follow all these. Oh, character creation. Is that what tab are you getting all these rolls from?
2, a 1, and a 1. Do I re-roll doubles?
I see it.
No, you don't. You've rolled defeat. Your family fought a war or smaller conflict, but was defeated, losing status, precious resources, and influence. If this is your first roll, your family might have been swallowed up by another house, forced to marry into a lesser branch until your original bloodline became all but extinct. Shit, that's a rough start, brother. I think we've discussed that you wanted to be Rasselhagian, correct?
Yeah, my plan was that this guy was going to be like like he joined like the DCMS kind of like as a child soldier, but absconded with like the family's like ancestral battle mech. And so that's kind of like why they let him join. And then like as his service was kind of ending, that's when Rasselhag broke off and kind of formed their own thing.
So you see, under first founding, it also says you need to pick a march. So you will obviously pick the Rasselhag march, and not immediately, but you will need to have some sort of disaster where your house was essentially destroyed by a much larger house, and you're simply a cadet line of a greater bloodline or something like that.
I think they got wiped out during the Ronin Wars.
Oh, that. How long ago was that? That was only like 25, 30 years, right? Ronin Wars were mid-30s?
5 years. Ronin Wars happened right after Rasselhag broke off, and we're like...
Wow, okay.
We're 10
so,
years off
yeah.
So
all right.
We're maybe like 8 years away from the Ronin Wars.
I don't... I'll allow for that. I'll allow for it. Rad? I understand. Oh, I think he's talking to his wife.
Oh, sorry, I'm muted.
Oh, you were having some trouble following along with house creation.
Yeah, sorry, I got an 8-year-old that keeps distracting me. Any first secession or earlier entries?
Yes, we'll need to pick a march.
But if I was founded during the third secession war,
that is earlier than first secession. Right, it happened sooner. You'll need to pick a march. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I don't know.
Galadon is the march you are from. I can get you a map if it matters. Dirun is like the capital. These are collections of planets that represent different districts of political and military influence.
Can we roll events first?
Valentina is in the Galadon military district.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to be from Galadon. Yes, you can do events first.
And you could tell me what march
Sure.
maybe that makes sense for.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll 3d6. Is that what I'm doing?
Yep. No. For how many events did you roll for?
Oh, I haven't rolled that yet. Just
it's
D6 for that?
Yes, a 1d6 minus 2.
1d6 minus 2. All right, I rolled a 1.
So you get one event. So go ahead and roll them 3d6. Ten? What is
total?
Yes, it's total. So whether from a poor marriage, downturn in trade, series of tragic losses in a conflict, your house has entered a period of decline. If this is your first roll, your house was probably born from a poor marriage, a desperate lord wedding his daughter to a merchant prince, or a major branch becoming extinct. Wow, this is dark, guys. We got to pull this one together. Well, write that down and we'll see how that comes out of the story. I'm posting in our chat the link to I gotta reorder these so that the Battletech ones are next to each other. The link to what the different districts look like. You're in number 22. You're in the very southeastern corner, directly across from the Oath of Endosteel guys. So you're in Kaznejav Prefecture of Galadon Military District. So, the distant outward military border with your greatest enemy. Well, James, we got infrastructure.
Yes.
I think it would not be odd for the two of you to both pick the Galadon Military District if you just want to be from this planet.
Yeah.
We've already picked mechs. If you all want to say what it is, obviously I've spoiled that Rad has picked the rattlesnake.
What did I decide on? It was the Kintaro, I believe.
Yeah, I think you picked the heavy, super high attack power one.
The KTO 21, I think it was.
Yeah, but I just remember that it was like light mech, and then like incredibly high PV alpha strike value Kintaro. What do you have? I notice you're silent, Neobuzzard.
I think I'm actually taking the weakest mech out of the three of us. I'm taking the Catapult C1.
Catapult C1. You call it the weakest mech, but it looks the strongest. It has a strong shape to it, a dignified and noble shape.
It's an icon.
It looks amazing while jumping with its no arms.
Big mass ears.
I always pin my arms to my side when I jump as well, just so I could be more catapult-like.
Each of you will choose an age. 18 is appropriate to anyone who skipped higher education. You can go up to 26 for anyone else, and then name your clan.
Can I roll for this?
Sure. I don't know what you'd roll, but
what would I roll?
A D18.
18 to what?
18 to 26.
18 to 26.
I think to fit in with
the roll a D8.
I think I got to go with 26.
Sure.
Bless you.
Yeah, I think I'd be like 24.
Sure.
What? We got a 24-year-old and what Neo?
26, 24.
26, 24.
Red's gonna be like 14.
I'll be I would like to be 9. I'll be young and impetuous. I'll be like 21, I guess.
Okay. Each of you needs to name the clan you're from.
Oh gosh.
I'll go with Kaida, Kyeda.
Okay. Can you change the name down here? I'll just put James Clan.
I was gonna say, is it supposed to be different from what our last name is?
It can be. I mean, traditionally they would be the same, but they don't have to be.
Okay.
Oh, as a samurai for this clan. Oh wait, wait a minute.
You will be
that we are a samurai for.
Is the clan that you run. You are the lord of that clan.
Our kin. Oh wait.
Yes.
Okay, I'm confused.
Yes. It's your kin.
Oh, wait.
It's your family members.
Yeah. Yes, you are confused.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, correct. And clan and house are synonymous in this regard.
Correct.
I thought we worked for a lord.
You do. But that you are, so samurai are lords who have military power. So they're like a half step up, essentially. Mm-hmm. You work for a greater lord, like a baron, in the same way that a knight would work for a baron in a sort of knightly story, right?
I'll follow you.
So this guy doesn't even run the whole planet. He just runs a particularly wealthy town.
Okay.
We'll talk more about that in a few. Andrew, I'm going back to you because you look like you're thinking about things.
No, I'm going really basic. His thing is
Kelson, Clan Kelson. Your name is Kelson, son of Kels.
No, I'm sticking to something kind of like Viking sounding because.
You don't think Kelson sounds Viking enough?
Well, no, I think the name I came up with him was or his last name was Arnson.
Yes, there you go, Clan Arnson.
So I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Sure. Now the better question is, what was your father's clan name? Since he is now a Rasselhagian lord, I don't want to spoil too much about your relationship, but the fact that you're in different noble families should be pretty significant.
Ooh, come back to me on that one. I haven't thought of that.
Sure. Rad, do we have a clan name?
Is this an opportunity to be related to anybody from Oath of Endosteel?
Absolutely.
Okay. I looked up common Japanese clan names, or just Japanese clan names, and one of them is how would you pronounce Seiwa? Siwa?
Seiwa.
Genji.
Yeah, Seiwa Genji. Ah, you want to be from the Genji clan?
I don't know, maybe.
Like a certain philosophical corporate speaker who used to be a top level battle commander.
Interesting.
Oh, I love the idea that you got the client right, that you were like one of his cousins or whatever, and you were just married off into the Combine to cover some debts or something. Like you're the little dishonor nobody knows about.
Yeah, we could do something like that.
Married a merchant princess.
So I'll do Clan Genji then.
Very well.
Got it. My father's clan is named Freeman.
Kelson. No, Freeman. All right. Oh, come on. All right. Jeez. We're gonna name him next. Clan Everyman. Johnny Goodboy Tyler. All nobles have some media presence and make attempts to control their image. Name one trait you wish to be known to your people for. Now, just to be clear, this doesn't have to be a trait you actually possess. This is just your social media's ability to manipulate you into people believing that you have this trait, and thus people who meet with you for the first time will assume that you are like that, even if you aren't actually like that.
Where are we in the generation?
Back on character creation, down past the battle mech list, we're at choose your age, name your clan.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Social media list.
What about dedication?
Okay, dedication. Well, folks at home, there's a lot of thinking happening right now.
I think Clan Arnson or the progenitor here is known for heroics. I think specifically like battlefield heroics.
Battlefield heroics, very well.
Yeah.
Now that specifically means you, because you're the only member of Clan Arneson.
Yes.
So far. Interesting. That makes sense given the backstory you told me you'd like. Battlefield heroics. But now I want to imagine your character is Jane from Firefly saying the phrase "thrilling heroics" sarcastically.
I'm gonna say justice.
Ooh, wow! For a guy that's on the edge of am I or am I not Yakuza, that's a pretty risky move. But yeah, all right.
My public facing image is
as that a man of justice. Yeah. Okay.
And some, often perceived as perhaps even like harsh or cruel justice.
Well,
unyielding justice.
Some would say that's the only justice you find in the Combine or anywhere in the Battletech universe. Your mech is maintained by a tech team. Your lead mech tech family has served your family for generations, unless you're newly knighted, which is all of you, apparently. Even the ones that weren't newly knighted, their house came into being in the last 5 years. So you have a new mech tech who serves you. They are new. This is their first job, and their whole family has been pledged to your family. They are not knights. They are not noble, but they're in that kind of space of like, they're in your sphere of influence, which makes them slightly better than other people. In the same way that people who are near the Kardashians, their names are known to some of us. Not me, but this one you can think on for a little bit if you just want to let that one cook.
So I'm going to go with the head tech is just named Poe. No family name for whatever reason never refers to his family name. Just he's like Cher or Rihanna. Just Poe.
Sure. What's your relationship with Poe?
It's probably transactional at the moment because I think it's a new relationship. So right now it's just a case of here's a job to do, I have a job to do. As long as we both do our jobs, everybody's happy. But I think that there's probably an intent there over time to develop that relationship, but it's coming to grips with what the initial relationship is, and that's right now it's very transactional.
Sure. I mean, this could be a relationship that lasts for dozens of generations until the end of time.
Yeah.
You got room to grow.
Or I could die in the second session.
And then again in the 15th. But then come back before the end of the episode, rising from the grave. How pious of you. If you guys are still thinking about it, make a note somewhere to come. Oh,
I don't have a name for my mech tech yet, but I want
sure.
my mech tech to be like my my handler from the other world that I exist in.
Okay.
Right. So they're either like a Yakuza handler, or they're, I don't know. I think that's how it has to work. I think I have to be one toe in the Yakuza. So I want my mech tech to be a Yakuza affiliate.
They're going to be your opposite. Wherever you end up, they're the person that draws you back into the other world.
Right. Well, because I don't know. I feel like for this to work, I think my public facing clan has to be a samurai clan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, no matter how you look at it, that's how you have value to the Yakuza. Whether you are a Yakuza member or whether you're infiltrating them, the fact that you are a Yakuza elevates them.
Yes.
Andrew, if you don't have anything, we can just keep rolling.
I'm gonna name the family Heihachi.
Heihachi.
Yes. Any anime fan that wants to call me out on that, feel free. I'll give you cool points.
I will not call you out on that because I immediately went to Tekken, and so I must have failed.
Nope.
You know what? I'm going to just go ahead and let the anime world leave comments on this video. You know more than me. You've defeated me. You're the Prince of Anime now. Actually, the Prince of Anime is Dave Traeger, so go talk to him. What's your relationship with Heihachi?
I think it's something like he begrudgingly came with me. I had put in my initial idea for this guy's backstory was that after the Ronin Wars, he got assigned to work with the Legions of Vega, and it was planned he was just going to be forgotten about. And then I think the mech tech that worked with him or worked on his mech while he was serving with the Legion came with him, but like he's not necessarily happy about coming with me.
Okay. You have a number of trained mech warriors. This is equal to 1d6 minus the number related to your house founding. As a result, 2 of you can get 1 if you roll a 6. James can't succeed at all.
All right. Do I have a 6?
That's a 4.
4. Nope.
It's like a 6, but not. It's similar to
notes because it says example second.
Oh, come on.
So second succession age family would roll 1d6 minus 1, but they should be 1d6 minus 4.
It was different for the Davian version. Damn it. So you don't get any trained mech warriors.
I wouldn't expect to have any.
You have none in your family tree. You can call upon those trained in the art of tankery, the operation of combat vehicles like tanks, APCs, mechanized infantry, light aircraft, and VTOLs. Roll 2d6 plus 5 to see how many such skilled combatants can be attracted to your service. I know this doesn't sound significant. It has come up repeatedly in Endosteel. The number of times people have tried to field tanks and are now running very low on tank personnel because they're all dead.
12 for me.
Okay, sick.
What am I rolling? 2d6?
Yep.
Plus 5.
Plus 5.
Oh, 14. I got 14.
Okay, huge. You may call upon a number of militia folk, armed primarily with rifles, belief in the coordinator, and if they are particularly skilled, a one-shot anti-tank missile launcher. During larger battles or those critical to planetary security, they may be called upon to join your forces. Roll 5d20 and divide the results by 28, rounding down. This is the number of militia squads you may call upon.
You said 5d20?
Do I need to get a bunch more d20s out? Hold on a second. I will use the power of the dice.
With the power of copy and paste.
Okay, so I got 38. Pretty poor on 5d20.
Wow, that's an incredibly bad roll. So you have one militia squad.
Yeah.
I rolled a 32. Wow, really? I rolled 3 2s?
Wow, you guys. Okay, so you also get one. These are some horrible rolls. Statistically improbable.
Using these purple dice over here?
Yes. See what Rad can do. Can be the first character to get under 20.
No,
53. Which I believe also puts you at 1.
You would need to be at least 56 to get 2.
I mean, this is really bad. Getting 2 is pretty close to average. Brad only got close. Okay.
I mean, the average on 5d20 is 55. So.
I mean, it'd be 10 and a half.
10 and a half. Actually, no, it would be 52.5 would be the average. So.
All right. So Rad rolled slightly better than average.
Yeah, but you see, you had to roll pretty high by average.
And still got 1.
Choose your starting land. This is a modest amount of farmland with an estate. It is self-sufficient to pay the workers and provide you with a small profit to live off of. It includes a land-sized mech bay for your family's use and an airfield. You can just think about what you want your estate, mansion, your small village. This is enough for several hundred people to toil, essentially your serfs, to make you enough money to support your lifestyle. This is where your Aztecs live. This is where your other family members live. Maybe it's super futuristic and sci-fi. Maybe it's a simple wood lodge overlooking a massive waterfall with a nearby supporting village of like millers or something. Great poverty and great wealth both exist on Valentina, so
I'm thinking sort of like rural, like farmland, but not like animal farming. More sort of like either like paddies or more food farming. I'd say.
sure.
Yep.
Is it industrialized food farming though? Like, do you use tractors and the highest level of technical equipment, a la?
I think it's like, wheat belt USA quality. So, combine harvesters, yes. What do you call the grain silos? Yes. Not sort of like future tech mechanized. Like still people out there actively farming and picking and collecting, plus assistance from mechanical means.
So like on Endosteel, Eric's starting version of his house, not the current one, which currently has AI cyber robots doing his harvesting for primary beer.
Yep.
Okay. Clan Arnson.
So
this is just a general idea. You can definitely improve upon it later.
Yeah. So I had this idea that he would have like or he would get his money from hotels or like a kind of like a tourist industry. So I think his like actual lands he's like cultivated into like a bunch of like smaller resorts.
I see that's good because it's a tourist district.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like maybe he has some like set up as like a hunting reserve. Some are like supposed to be like natural camping retreats, but it's like small, extravagantly furnished like cabins.
You mean glamping? It's glamping.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I'm thinking that, and I think his mansion isn't one he had built for himself. I think he took over like some like old movie stars mansion or something like that. His like personal house.
Brad, you look super pensive.
I always look that way, Arthur.
No, you don't.
Don't I?
90% of the time, you look like you have a shit-eating grin on. Like right now.
What do you mean? No. Yeah,
I'm looking at the screen.
Okay, here's my thought. I want to do a Nicolas Cage style Lord of War weapons merchant. But my house is in decline, so I want, you know, business obviously to be on a downward slide. So I want to do some sort of like a gun running, and this might also factor into like some of the shadiness of my house.
Sure, got to get those Shimatsu 42 somewhere.
And I think I want my house to be in the mountains. Are there mountains? I can assume they're mountains.
Yeah, there are now.
Do like kind of a reclaimed like mountain ancestral like fortress that was probably like dilapidated, that my, you know, 100 years ago or whatever, my family took over, and it was probably nice at one point, but now it's starting to slide back down the other way a little bit.
I mean, it's probably like regularly sees Yakuza and also arms fires in it, you know?
Right.
I want to imagine cigarette butts everywhere, just like trash scattered.
So it's like it's like an old fort basically that's been converted into an estate. It's got like some
very cool,
some sort of terraced agriculture kind of at the foot of the mountain. But it's not, it's not heavily used. It's just kind of where the clan members live and stuff down there outside of the fortress.
I want to imagine that the mech bay is built into the mountain.
Yeah, I like that.
Super secure. Reminds me of the airbase that's built into a mountain in Ace Combat 7, where dudes just start popping out of a mountain. You're like, what the fuck? Where'd they come from?
So a pretty tactically secure location, but not like in the best condition.
Okay. This one is.
See, by the way, there's a castle in northern Scotland currently for sale for $37,000 on 40 acres.
Well, I might need to move to Scotland. Hold on.
Yeah,
just know you can't accept noble titleage, so
I'm sure they'll sell it to an American with. Yeah.
It's been advertised in America. So.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, they're trying to. The people that bought it had plans to do it up as like a resort, but never came to fruition. Now they're trying to sell it up, but they're all you did was buy it for $37,000 and then spend about $14.5 million fixing it up.
I would just use it as a dilapidated castle to play D&D.
Apparently, it is both water and wind tight. So it is.
Oh.
It's not even just like rooms on the ground. It's actually like a building. So, but it's like on an island, which is a 3-hour flight from Edinburgh, followed by a 2-hour ferry ride.
Okay, that part you should have led with, James. I was like, not bad. $37,000 in this economy, pretty good buy. But now you're like, it's 5 hours of flight off the coast, and I'm like, no. Not at this economy.
I'm reading here as well. Its current owner estimates it needs approximately $14 million for restoration.
Okay, so this question is not on the list because it didn't come up in Endosteel, but I would like to think that it may come up in this one. I want to give you guys a choice of steed as to whether you want to have like a physical horse or whether it's like a super specialized custom motorcycle or hover bike or some shit like that. Just something, it's the thing you arrive at when you go to places.
I think for me, what I've got in my mind, a conventional motorbike, it doesn't need to be super customized, but I think that would be more in line than an actual animal.
Yeah, it's your steed.
I think Arnson has a horse. And I think it's because somewhere on the property there's actually like horses for horseback riding.
Listen,
so, just showing up on the horse is more advertising for the resort.
You have to know that horse lovers are gonna fucking, they're so thirsty for a description of this horse.
Yep.
Don't give them what they want. Just
okay.
It's got 4 legs. That's it. Stop there.
Just forever call it horse.
Or talk like you were talking about, but actually not, like say, it's 63 hands high. So
describe it slightly differently every time it appears on screen.
Oh,
I hop right on because
no, please don't do that.
Give me a boost to get on.
Please don't do that. I want to say, James,
is approximately 1 horse tall.
I've been thinking a lot about what you just said about sounding like you know what you're talking about, but not, because everyone's like,
that's
AP.
My job. That's what I do for That's what I do for a living.
No, but people are like, AP, you should play Delta Green, and I'm like, listen, man, I can't even do Twilight 2000, which is in a time period I actually relate to. I feel like I can't do a military show because I've seen people are just like, you could tell Arthur doesn't know shit about real military life. Rad was like, you played a really convincing E4 in Twilight 2000, and I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. That's the problem. I hope that you aren't being sarcastic with me, but you're smiling when you say that.
So you know Chris, Army Chris.
Yes, Army Chris, Artilleryman Chris.
Yeah. So he years ago tried to run, like, when Fantasy Flight brought out like the end of the world games, like Zombie Apocalypse and
yes.
He introduced a bunch of his army mates one night when they were like staying on barracks to role playing, and they decided to play a game of Zombie Apocalypse where they started off as themselves in the room they were in the barracks, at the start of a zombie apocalypse, and they spent the first like 2 hours working out how they could actually get their hands on functioning firearms.
All right, I head down and I sign out with the armorer. I roll. The armorer is not there. He's getting a lunch break. He'll be back for coffee in 5 minutes.
Who's got the keys? Sarge's got the keys. Sarge lives off base.
See, Rad is ahead of me because he knows this shit because he's been there and done that. I don't think I can convincingly run Delta Green is the problem. But meanwhile, let's get back to the game we're actually playing. Great news. We're going to talk about your swords. Worst news. None of you have very impressive houses, and one of you doesn't even have a sword. So, James, you simply have a press-metalled katana that has been made specially for your house. It is brand new. You are its first wielder, and you are expected to imprint the values you want into the sword. On the other hand, no one gives a shit about this sword. Absolutely no one is going to be like, wow, that's a really impressive sword. Because it looks like it was made in Industrial Foundry, because it was. Rad, great news. You don't get a katana. You get an uchi katana, which is a slightly longer, slightly larger version of a katana.
I like that.
It's from the house you were before your current house has fallen into ruin. It is significant enough that someone who's really desperate on a sword hunt might go after you for it. You can decide what it looks like.
What do you mean the house before the house? Explain.
Right, you were the house that was in decline. You broke away from Genji clan, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like this is a house. It's a house Genji sword, essentially. The original branch.
I took it with me somehow. Probably
yes.
Less than proper ways.
Oh, it might have been a parting marriage gift, perhaps.
Okay.
Like an aggressively, Uncle, what I'd really like for my wedding that you're sending me into the Draconis Combine so I can never return to the land of my birth. You know what I'd really like is this sword off the fucking wall.
While you're destroying my entire bloodline, it'd be nice if you could throw me like a conciliatory
dooming me to obscurity.
Token. Yeah.
Changing my citizenship status.
Okay, can you spell that type of katana for me?
Yep, absolutely. One of us doesn't even have a katana. All right, no, never mind. Neobuzzard's sending me a message. I don't know who this freaking person is. Samurai 7. Oh, I know vaguely what that is, though. Jesus. You have an axe. Specifically, I thought you stole your father's axe.
Yeah. I think I had the axe. I think I put this or mentioned this to you before. I think I had the axe melted down and remade into a sword.
Okay, so you have a cheap, shitty new sword. It's not that, just to be clear, it's not that it's cheap and shitty. It could look amazing and beautiful, but the fact of the matter is that to anyone that cares about swords, the sword has no history. It was just forged. You know what I mean? And it would be so much worse if they knew it came from a Rasselhagian axe blade. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have a dignified start.
So my sword is the only one that's disproportionately desirable compared to my house.
Correct.
The status of my sword is greater than the status of my clan.
So you may be the target of a sword hunt in the future, which is where people just start beef just so they can steal your sword. And essentially, it's like contract killing.
Yeah, you race for pigs, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Except they'll kill you in the process. It's traditionally battle mech on battle mech, but it could also just be sword fight on sword fight. Or murder. Well, we got some houses. We got the very basics. Any questions or comments before we get lightly into character creation? I don't think we'll get all the way through, but we'll get part of the way through for sure. Or alternatively, we could talk about the world of Valentina and Hangatsu Bay, where we will be stationed in. If you would rather talk about people that you know and maybe try to fill in the world. Because 100% we're going to have an episode -1 for sure. No doubt about it.
I mean, if we're going to start defining other like things that our characters relate to, is it worthwhile actually getting something into the characters first then?
I don't know. I'm leaving it to you guys. Everybody's looking around furtively, like a weasel. No one's attached to either of these ideas.
Can we talk in some generalities about the kind of status of the planet and stuff like that?
Sure. Valentina is a very rich world. It is a merchant world. So a lot of shipping goes across border here. There is some shipping into the Federated Suns. While the Draconis Combine maintains a very strong mercantile fleet, it should be noted that there is a specific family. I forget if I wrote this one down. There is a specific family that has license to operate out of Valentina. This is canon lore, by the way. And not just Valentina, but throughout Galadon and through most of the Federated Suns. It's just like this really rich family that's only job is to be like the interface. They're like Draconis Combine rogue traders for Warhammer fans. There's a bunch of civilian traders that are unregistered that trade, but the biggest moneymaker is the very aggressive trade with the Outworlds Alliance, which is that sort of third party to the Federated Suns Draconis Combine that's just off to the east side of the border. It's only 2 jumps away to get to some of their closer worlds. They have a lot of trouble. They have an incredibly low literacy rate. They have almost no jump ships themselves, so they have to maintain through like Draconis Combine traders moving their people and military forces around. And so Draconis Combine, samurai, mercenaries, ronin, just learned sages and scholars, like people from the Draconis Combine flood over the border and pull ridiculous amounts of wealth out of their country. And almost all of that flows back through this specific world. The other thing to be noted about Valentina, and specifically Hangetsu Bay, which is where you all live at right now, is that Hangetsu Bay is a tourist attraction. It has a large airport, but not drop port, the Lincoln Corrida Memorial Airport, which is named after one of the least popular coordinators in history. Not because he was bad at things, but because he didn't do anything of value. Just like Martin Van Buren or any other president whose name does not come up regularly. Leonard Corrida is kind of the, president who you heard of but couldn't name anything significant they've done. There is a series of 5 zones in Hangetsu Bay. There is Portside, which is known as the Floating World, which is tourism along a crescent bay, local cruising, geisha, traditional night markets, bars, taverns, upbeat, flourishing district that attracts workers from other towns and cities of Valentina and afar to spend their money. South of Portside is Dockside, aka Little Korea. Dockside covers the massive man-made shipping port that extends far out into the ocean, but is kept far enough away so it doesn't bother the tourists. The Yakuza are prevalent here to the point that the Civilian Guidance Corps do not patrol these streets. Inland, slightly of Portside as well, are the casinos and houses of pleasure that provide a place for local and distant clientele to blow off steam in a less refined but no less traditional way than the floating world. There's also industrial, residential, and commercial zones that are increasingly further away from the tourism district.
Can I can I change my my lands a little bit instead of
Sure.
can I still do like mountain stronghold?
Yeah, that can be where your main fortress is, but you might have a place in town.
Yeah, I want to be more like urban sprawly. So like, can the mountains be? I mean, you tell me about the geography.
Sure, south side of the town.
Yeah,
you want a mountain by the sea, naturally.
I want to be in the industrial area, right? So like that would make sense.
Sure.
You know, we have a family factory with an arm, you know, where we do arms, you know, munitions or whatever factory, and so kind of.
I like to imagine then your place is probably like a little bit of a suburb, essentially. You know,
Yeah,
they want to
so.
keep the plumes of the weapon making smoke away from the nice touristy part of town.
Right. Yeah, and that's maybe another reason that like the status of my, you know, my decline is I'm not in like a very prestigious part of town. My clan.
And people have to, you know, they have to travel to get to you. Yeah. It's a real pain in the ass when you got to ride a half an hour to go see a guy. Yes. There are multiple lords, but the main lord, the one who you all answer to, is Shugo or Baron Koji of Clan Nosagi. He is the boss, essentially, of Hangetsu, who answers to the greater powers of Valentina. You are members of his council and his court, so you work for him directly, and you are essentially like his enforcers, his go-to people. You're not the only ones, but you're the most important ones, because as samurai, you stand a step higher than most of his other lords. And when I say lords, I'm really just saying like knights or like lowest level nobility possible. The other members of the council are mostly the 5 lords, each of which who rule one of the districts that I talked about: portside, dockside, industrial, residential, commercial, all of which will eventually have names when we figure out who these people are. The other
was that 6 lords total?
Yes. So it's Koji Nosagi. Well, technically it's Nosagi Koji and his 5 lords.
Okay.
And I haven't filled in too many of these lords, just in case any of you wanted to be like friends with them or rivals or have some background with them. The other big players are the Shinsen Gumi, who are the primary faction of the local Yakuza. They aren't the only one, but they're the biggest one, you know, majority shareholder in local crime. Their name is a insult because it directly references like rebellious, super infamous samurai. But they use the English translation of their name, the newly selected group, to represent themselves as, so like their Japanese version of their name spits on samurai, and they kind of do that like behind everybody's back, but openly they just call themselves the newly selected corporate group. They have the Oyabun, who we all know is a father figure, and then they have the number 2 man, the headquarters chief, the advisor, and the legal counselor. They lead the junior officers, who lead the children. They are a conservative traditionalist force, and they form a shadow government that controls the fates and desires of many workers and businesses directly. So they are the grease of the corporate wheels, and in many ways they are almost as powerful as the very real government. Simply because it can be difficult to cut through bureaucracy, and the Yakuza have a rare capability to do so. And so when someone really needs something, they go to the Godfather. We've all seen Godfather 1 and possibly 2 and 3. I mean, I hope we've all seen 1. Sometimes you just got to go to a guy. James, did you just say no?
No, I nodded.
Oh, God. I was like, you of all people haven't seen The Godfather?
Second highest rated film of all time.
Some other groups.
Toy Story 2.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I don't.
Some other groups of note are the Jade Token Tea House, which is a geisha collective. There's a lot more in here that I'm not going to cover. The Ruby Emblem, which is the legal prostitution answer of the Yakuza to the Jade Token. The 233rd Civil Guidance Corp, which are Combine beat cops. Like all normal street cops, they carry face-obscuring riot helmets, riot shotguns, sonic stunner, and plated body armor, which should tell you the normal level of response they have to most crimes.
Stormtroopers.
Yeah. The crime in Hangetsu Bay is like it is anywhere else in the Combine. Extremely low reported rates of occurrence. Some attribute this to the fact that when a dead body is found floating face down in the bay, folded by the Yakuza, it is considered natural causes. Slow to respond to calls, quick to resort to violence. They also have a pair of security mechs, which are essentially just little... They're the little cousins of industrial mechs, but they get machine guns on them. You also have the Valentina Militia Hangetsu Bay Company, the local Nosagi Guard, which are your baronial lord's parade army. They're guys who are good at rifle drill formation and not much else. And there is also a detachment of the Metsuki, which in the future will mean something different, but is the internal security force. They maintain a tight watch on a wealthy world like Valentina that has a lot of drop ships, but without a spaceport, Hangetsu Bay does not see a large station presence. James, I think you mentioned that you wanted to be sniffing at a entry into the Draconis Elite Strike Teams.
So I sort of refined the idea a little bit.
Okay.
And let me run it by because it might connect up with one or more groups because I've got some holes that maybe you can help connect as well. So I'm thinking of, because we've got basically a brand new, newly united family. I'm thinking of it basically a merchant family built around this sort of rural farm economy as such. My character as a child with zero interest in that sort of family fled, ended up joining the military, and has basically gone through military indoctrination from childhood basically. So once again, that's sort of the concept of the child soldier, and has gone through all the various systems completely disconnected from the family. The family, through some means, has gotten themselves into a position where they've been knighted into samurai. But at some subsequent point now, when the character is older, some tragedy has fallen. It's like another house is attacked, whatever. But everybody relevant to the family has been wiped out. So brothers, sisters, nobody still to hold the family line. But for whatever reason, the people that sought to raise this family up need it to continue to exist. And so forth. They've basically pulled the character out of the DCMS and dumped them back into the family as the noble. Despite this person literally going off and being trained, as a ninja, the antithesis of a samurai, they've now been asked to come back and act in this way to keep this family going, because they're the only one that actually has a blood connection to the family, which has been otherwise wiped out.
So you are handing me a mystery of the murder of your family and who your secret backer is. Is that what I mean? Okay, perfect.
Why was the family raised up, and why is it important they stay raised up, and who was offended by that enough to try and wipe everybody out?
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much. What a great intrigue opener to really fuck with this game. And I just want to mention how entertained I was in your Rogue Trader game. Let me just mention how deeply entertained I was.
Sounds like a great opportunity for that private investigator to make a comeback.
Oh my God, Duke Dick. I'm trying to get rid of him. I'm trying to write him out of Battletech.
He's with Kenneth Cross now.
Yeah, he's with Kenneth Cross. We got rid of him. All right. The last group of real significant note that I have so far is the Deki Gorozoku. It essentially just means something like rebellion tribe. They're the sons and daughters of lords and ladies who, without a future of service to the DCMS or the nobility that comes with being a samurai, have turned to petty crime. So these are punk rich kids on hover bikes who tear up the city. They throw their clan authority around. They're tolerated insofar as workers can't be like, no, you can't do that. They just kick over people's carts and rough up their stuff. But they are a nuisance that can ruin the average person's day with no recourse to strike back. So the only defense they have is that a passing lord or a really, really suicidal cop will show up and stop these kids. Otherwise, they just basically have to stand there and take it. So the Deki
back down from the actual Yakuza as well.
The Deki Gorozoku, to some extent, that can happen. It's really like a machismo thing, right? Like technically, the Yakuza can't touch these kids, as long as the family's protecting them. But if you start messing with the Yakuza may mess with your family. And if your family at some point withdraws protection for you, the Yakuza may just beat you up as a lesson or just outrightly kill you.
Fall down an elevator shaft.
Yeah, on some bullets. Yes, you've seen the same movie.
Actual like nobility or
yes, yeah, they are.
Like
the only protection they have is that they are the children of nobles.
I want some of these children to be from my clan.
Is it your cousins or your brothers
Maybe.
and sisters?
Yeah, could be. No, probably cousins.
The Deki Gorozoku. Oh, it's so much worse. I imagine them riding around on hover cycles and they've got your like branded specialized weaponry, right? Like they go into stores and they pull their guns out and they're just like, look at these bad boys, pew pew pew, cowboy style. And everyone's just like, yes, very entertaining, incredibly entertaining. You couldn't have shot my China dish better.
Yeah. Look at unsuccessful Tony Stark, and they're running around.
Yeah, that's what I've got for you so far.
The Deki Gorozoku gives me an idea because I had put in my backstory that I was supposed to have an arranged marriage, but the bride backed out before I landed because she didn't want to marry someone from Rasselhog.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking like it'd be really funny if she became like Deki Gorozoku instead of marrying into a Rasselhagian family.
Oh, so she like she's like the greater dishonor would be marrying you. Fuck it. Yeah. I'm not gonna live the life my family wants for me. I'm a rebel now. She's got a mohawk and she wears shorts.
Yep. Which then brings up to like how petty is I haven't decided if I want this guy to be called Siegfried or Sigurd, but
could that be
how
sorry,
like how petty is he going to be? Would he find some other lady to marry that was Deki Gorozoku and like raise her up and be like, this is the life you could have had? But
oh my god, that is so petty.
Or would he try to like honor the agreement and try to like convince her to like just come back to the house?
Bring your fiance back?
Yeah.
I was going to say this could be connective tissue between our two houses, right? Your wife could be like my cousin or something like that.
Oh.
It's a fiance, yeah, but yeah. Very interesting. Interesting.
So I was thinking over here, Arthur, and I'm thinking, so since the house is 50 to 100 years old, that probably makes me like second generation to the clan. Would that sound about right?
That sounds right based on your rules.
So I'm thinking like my father was probably like, too far down the line of succession to matter in the Genji clan and was married off to a merchant princess from Valentina. And the princess is actually the Yakuza tie. So my mom was like a Yakuza person, and then my dad was the actual like noble.
Very well.
So I think so that'll tie me into both worlds, I think.
How very Spock of you, a child of two worlds.
Child of two worlds. I think maybe sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think maybe my dad was maybe like less effectual and mom kind of ended up running the house more. And that might be why the house has kind of ended up where it is a little bit, not necessarily in decline, but why it is, why we're arms dealers. And
gangster.
Right. We're kind of a more gangster house. And I don't know if they're still alive. My parents, I'm only 21, so I'm sure they're still alive, but
they've passed power on to you.
They've passed power on. Yeah. Maybe one of them's still alive. I don't know. I'll let you decide that.
I'll let you decide that.
As the history slowly coalesces for me in my head.
I don't need to kill your parents now. I'll let you decide, and then I'll kill them in the story for traumatic impact.
We'll wait a couple episodes for that. So yeah, and I probably
doesn't have to be like Endosteel where I started by killing everyone's parents in the first scene.
I don't want to be married yet. I want that to be on the table at some point during the game.
Well, that's very important in these generational games. Yeah.
And I'll probably want some number of brothers and sisters because I want to have already had nieces and nephews, and for there to be some reason that the youngest child was named head of the house and not the older ones.
Ooh. Maybe you're the most competent, or maybe you're the most crooked.
It could be that, mom and her shadow family made that happen because I'm the most inclined to
The rest are honorable young
push
samurai.
those goals forward, right? I either have the best samurai reputation, which is good for them, or I'm most willing to deal, like one way or the other.
My favorite part about talking to you tonight has been that you still haven't you've laid a fence so high, but you haven't figured out which side you're on.
I almost want to.
It's just teetering.
Yeah.
Rad, what about just want to offer? If you said that your mother was your husband, it was your father's second wife, and that your older siblings are from a different mother, so you're the only child of this marriage, but for whatever reason you're the one that was picked.
This is a classic manga and manhwa plot where the new wife comes in and raises up the youngest child to become emperor. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a good. And then your regular brothers and sisters want no part in revenge, but then there's like the secret backstabbing one who's like, that could be my position if I just fucking murdered you.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to have a bad relationship with my siblings, but I'm not like opposed to it either.
We'll see.
So I had this idea with because I rolled up to like defeat. My house was like absolutely crushed at one point. And I had this idea because I was just thinking about it, where maybe the defeat happened during the Ronin Wars. So I made a comment in the backstory that he's seen as a hero because he sacrificed his like ancestral battle mech to let a more experienced, like prominent Kurita unit fall back. But I think maybe in doing so, not only did he lose the family's ancestral battle mech, but this allowed whatever Ronin that we were fighting during the Ronin Wars to walk onto like my family's original like lands and assets and just trash the place.
You got pillaged.
Yeah. So I think my action allowed my original Rasalhagian family to get pillaged and raided, and
the one you stole the axe from and then had reforged into a katana.
Yes.
Just to be clear that your family definitely 100% will come back for you because you've insulted them and stolen their most treasured relics and turned them into garbage.
And I lost. It's like,
was it Game of Thrones where the Lannisters melt down the Stark sword and turn it into two Lannisters?
Turn it into Jaime's long claw. What's up, bitch?
Yeah. I think the sword's gonna be like a wakizashi. So it's like
it's a super small. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not even like an impressive sword. And I think the ancestral family battle mech that I lost is some kind of assault mech, like maybe a battle master or stalker or something.
How about an Atlas 7D just to really drive it in there?
No.
Ironic because they're like Atlas 7D, one of the most iconic mechs, extremely rare. And like you start up any game of Battletech and it's just like, yep, Atlas 7Ds everywhere.
What about like an Orion? Weren't those like some
classic, like, yeah. That's an Alexander really Kerensky.
Really old history to Orion.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. Yeah,
what if it was just another catapult? That's a classic. Listen, catapults and Jenners are the classic Kuritan mech. You know, we're coming up on the era where Kuritan mechs get swords and shit like that and start looking like samurai, like the Hachiman or whatever. But the true, the Hatamoto Chi, the like classic Kuritan battle mechs are catapults and Jenners, just missile spam insanity.
Oh, can I have gotten my mech from like a notorious sword hunter, like a Davian that goes around like trying to kill
kill Kuritans, and you killed him and took his battle mech?
His mech. Yeah.
Oh.
That's maybe why I have a reputation of competency.
Interesting. Right, I like that a lot.
Probably an early claim to fame when I was like 18, 19 years old.
I like the idea it's your only claim to fame.
Yeah. I dueled this sword hunter and took his mech.
Now here's the bigger question. Was it a sword duel or was it a mech duel?
I don't know because I haven't done character creation, so I don't know how many resources I'm going to put into.
That's true. That's true.
Either. So I don't know.
Well, the great news is you don't have to put any resources into being good at mechs because you won't be. You'll be a 4/5 pilot with no edge.
Then yeah, I think I do want to be a formidable sword fighter.
Okay. Then you, the young tiger, defeated the old panther,
but there may be some. There's not like public question as to legitimacy of the duel.
Oh,
there may or may not have been like Yakuza interference to prop him.
Are we saying poison or
maybe?
I'm
still on the fence, Arthur.
His sword hunter had a really good lay the night before and was just like really tired out.
Yeah.
Did you get any sleep?
Strap his armor on, conceal the wound.
I was about to make a reference to
that. One of my favorite stories about the great swordsman Musashi is that he's a total shitlord. Not only did he invent using the two sword styles so he could cheat and have two swords in battle, but it's that Musashi showed up to the battle late so that they could approach by boat from a specific side, so that when both sides set up, the rising sun would be directly behind Musashi, blinding his opponent, and then Musashi just fucking slaughtered the dude. Oh, but the better story about Musashi is the first time he fought somebody, he challenged the noble kid to a fight and then just brutally beat the fuck out of the kid and took his sword and was like, "Your sword? My sword." I don't think we have enough time to do character creation at this point, so that will be its own episode. Is there any other small questions or answers? Any NPCs you'd like to say that you know? Any Yakuza you'd like ties with? Police officers? Any lords of a particular district you'd like to name and perhaps have a rivalry with or be friends with, or even family members? Well, probably not family members. You guys are a little light on local family, apparently.
Could I suggest that might be a good homework, Arthur?
Sure. Absolutely. For you, your homework should be who's your contact in the ISF. For sure. I mean, that's not the only homework, but that's a specific good piece of homework that I need to know. How do they contact you? How are you handled? Because I assume that the ISF would never just let you go now that you've started training with them. They're going to keep eyes on you, which is great because they're known as the Many-Eyed Organization. And here's another question. Is there any specific spirituality or religion that any of you answer to? Now, it should be noted, as I said, religion is not allowed in the Draconis Combine. On the other hand, it wouldn't be weird for the Yakuza to have a statue of Ganesha, the Elephant Lord, who is also the god of thieves. And Christmas is celebrated as Coordinator's Day. And St. Nicholas is just considered to be one of the many avatars of the Coordinator. Santa Claus is just another form of the dragon. It's weird how that works out, how so many religious figures are just aspects of the dragon.
I don't think Sigurd is going to have like any prominent like religion on display, but I think he's going to be like he's going to go nuts at Christmas time, like decorating.
Interesting.
Like he has this big like old movie stars mansion and just goes bonkers with like Christmas decorations.
Interesting.
Like he's the guy that would have like the 70-foot inflatable snowman out front because it makes a statement.
I think we had talked about it a little bit before, Arthur, with the kind of the Buddhist judge of hell.
Enma, yes.
Yeah.
The teeth puller.
Kind of like the Oni, like iconography and that kind of stuff.
I think
so. You're an adherent to that, then. You believe in the power of justice. Oh, that's true. That's also your
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
It would not be weird for you to venerate Lord Enma.
I'm settling on a sort of like Judge Dredd vibe.
I love it.
I think that my character has been too involved in that heavy indoctrination, and has specifically eschewed religion for that reason.
Perfect. Also works for you. I want to mention that I don't know that we're going to go a lot into the specifics of the internal security force, but the head of the internal security force is extremely famous. His name is the Smiling One. He is a elderly man who is wheelchair bound, who was once one of the strongest samurai swords duelists, and rose to prominence and became essentially a spy master. And then at some point, he turned the ISF into like a publicly facing, like, hi, I'm your grandfather, and I'm just here to remind you of what good virtues are. That is his public persona, and he does like regular fireside chat broadcasts to remind people that he's a smiling, happy old man. In private, he is one of the most brutal, tyrannical dictators in history who absolutely crushes all opposition and murders anyone who's remotely a threat to the coordinator.
I like how like in gym class when they put the VHS to like watch the video instead of the video of Captain America, it's a video of this old guy in a wheelchair.
The smiling one.
Did anybody watch the Netflix Chernobyl series?
No, I did not.
There's a great scene. I think it was Netflix, yeah. But there was a great scene in that where like one of the sort of heads of the KGB is explaining what he believes the KGB is. Where he's like, oh, it's a circle of accountability. You know, yes, there are people watching you. There are people watching them. There are people watching me. You know, it's all about forming a cohesive circle of trust.
Is HBO, James. Is the HBO, yes, I did watch it. It was great. Yeah. Yes, I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
Yeah.
So just know the Smiling One is watching all of you. He watches your career with great interest.
I need to get going so I can get on to my next thing. And I wanted to quickly say something to Raddosaurus stream as well. So
all right, friends.
I got one quick question for you guys.
Yes.
Since I got all of you here. So I'm gonna paint our mechs once we figure out like house colors and stuff. Would you guys prefer resin prints or the old metals?
I would say, which do you prefer painting?
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Can you carve my mech out of wood?
Yeah, I'm not that good.
I would say 100% your preference. Whatever you feel like you're more comfortable to paint better.
The resin prints will cost you a lot less. So
yeah. Well, I got the stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the stuff. All right, friends.
One mechanical question, sorry, AP, just looking at the character creation stuff. So your thing says you get noble +1 background.
Yes.
Is that on top of the training package from your class as well, or do you mean?
That's correct. You will get noble, and then you will get the other training packages as well to represent the fact that your character will be a step above other characters.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Cool.
Okay, we'll be back for character creation -1 episode whenever we can meet up, which might not be next week. It could be a while. That's how this show's going to go. Thanks for joining us. Patreon, you get to view this 1 week early using the power of your money. Have a good time zone.